Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Hey, I'm here from Orlando, Florida today. We went to the Animal Kingdom yesterday. If you guys have never been there, next time you're around Orlando, you've got to go. They've got this new ride. It's like in the Pandora. It's like an Avatar kind of ride. You fly through the air and stuff. It's the coolest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Our kids loved it. It was amazing. But hey, today I am so incredibly excited about what we're going to go through. We're going to go through the law of averages, and what this is going to do for every single one of you on here is going to give you a game plan moving forward and an understanding of how you can control your future. And I'm just really, really excited. When I learned the philosophy and the idea behind the law of averages, it changed everything for me. So hold on and let me get this going. Hope you're ready to take some awesome notes.
Now next, we'll cover this and then we'll take a little break. Leadership should understand the law of averages. One of the most important studies to study is the law of averages. And the reason is because everybody's affected by it. This side of the world, the other side of the world. Business is affected by it, social, personal, people, religious, doesn't matter what it is. We're all affected by the law of averages. The church is affected by it. The office is affected by it. The community is affected by it. The state's affected by it. The families, everybody's affected by the law of averages. So it's a good one to understand how it works, what's going on, so you're not disappointed and tipped over and upset. See, once you find out the truth, there's a Bible phrase that says, the truth sets you free. And it sets you free from animosity. It sets you free from being tipped over and bent out of shape. You just have to understand how it is. People used to cut me off on the freeway. I would go absolutely bonkers. I'm now chasing them down the freeway. See, I learned not to do that, right? Because some things are just frustration. They accomplish nothing. It's like saying liars shouldn't lie. Now, see, that's called idle conversation. Right? There's no use even talking about that. Because, see, liars are going to lie. You can say they shouldn't, but that won't help. Liars lie. Cheaters cheat. Thieves steal. And you can say they shouldn't, but that's called idle conversation. Understand how it is. Right? Some things it's just like it is. Once you understand that that's how it is, see, now that takes you off the hook from being bent out of shape, disappointed, frustrated, angry, you don't understand, you're all confused. See, once you know, then it just takes away all the confusion and the misunderstanding and the misreading. Now when somebody cuts you off on the freeway, see, you learn to handle that better. But tell them they shouldn't, see, that won't help. Right? Because they're always going to do that. You know, if those people who cut you off on the freeway really tip you over, then you're going to be tipped over the rest of your life. Because those people are always going to do that. They're known as cutter offers on the freeway. I mean, that's what they are. One of the best things is to take the simple approach. The guy says to me, well, this is happening to me, this is happening to me, this is happening to me. I do this and then this happens, then this goes wrong, and then this happens. How come all these things happen to me? I'm trying my best. I say, sir, I really don't know. The best experience I've got over the last 25 years especially is those kind of things always happen to people like you. I don't know. That's the best I can figure out. What you've got to consider is, if you wish for it to change, you must consider that perhaps you should change. See, if this is happening to me, maybe it's because it's the person I am. Now, some things are accidents, I understand that. But some things are attracted. You've just got to make sure that it wasn't just accident, that maybe you're becoming that kind of cynical person. Maybe unhappiness is attracting unhappiness. Maybe overdue sadness is attracting sadness, right? Maybe confusion attracts confusion. And it's true. Whatever we are attracts. So we must take a look and see where we are. But the law of averages is unique. And of course, the best place to study all the laws is in the Bible. Here's what the law of averages says. If you do something often enough, you will get a ratio of results. A ratio. And that's one of the key words in leadership to remember. Everything has ratios. Now, what do we mean by ratios? Well, it concerns anything. Let's say you just joined a new company and you're out selling some new product. And you talk to 10 people. You're just brand new. You talk to 10 people. Say, I got this neat product. And you present it to 10 people. 9 say no. And 1 says yes. Now, already you've got your ratio going. And we call it 1 out of 10. That's fairly simple, right? No matter what you do, if you do it continuously for a while, you'll get a ratio. Some kind of ratio. In baseball, what do we call it? Batting average. See, if somebody's pitching, you're up there swinging, sure enough. Now, even if you're an amateur, if you keep swinging, you'll get one, right? The ball will hit your bat. I mean, right? You just get in the way. You know, you just do it often enough. But a ratio starts to develop, right? Now, here's an interesting question about the ratio. Who will this ratio work for? See, anybody can get a ratio started. That's a key word. Anyone can work on this ratio. Now, you might say, well, if you're getting started and 9 say no and 1 says yes, right, you're not doing that well. Well, see, at first you don't worry about doing well. At first you get a ratio going so that you can look at it and analyze it and see what's happening. That's why it's very important in sales we teach. Talk to lots of people every day, and at the end of the day, jot down your progress. This is why your journal is so important. At the end of the day, make a list of your progress. Here's what I did and here's what happened. So that you can go back over it and start analyzing it. So you can see what to fix and what to get on that's good and what to get off that's bad. But anybody can get one of these ratios going. Now, even those that say no are valuable because at first they listen to you practice your presentation, right? And we teach in sales, you don't want to make a sale. You want to become a salesperson. So these people who say no, they're listening to you practice. In fact, at first you might want to pay them. Say, here's $5, just listen to my presentation. And I'm not that good at it yet. You know, whatever, right? To get this whole thing started. Now, this will work for anybody, 1 out of 10. Now, see, you can start to compete. Here's the next rule for the law of averages, the ratios. Once a ratio starts, it tends to continue. Once a ratio starts, it tends to continue. If you're just getting started, you talk to 10, 9 say no, 1 says yes. Here's what's exciting. Chances excellent, if you talk to 10 more, you get another one. It's uncanny. I don't even know how it works. All I know is it works. Sure enough, another one will say yes. And see, now, all you got to do is just do this 2 or 3 times. Talk to 10 more. Another one says yes. Now you know you're getting about 1 out of 10. And see, now you can start to compete. And that's one of the next best incentives is competition. So get your ratios going so you can compete. Now, see, if I joined your company and I just got started and you're so good you can get 9 out of 10. And I just started and I can only get 1 out of 10. Because I just got there. If we have a contest for 30 days on sales, I will win. So he says, how would you do that? See, it's very simple. Since you're so good, you can get 9 out of 10, and the contest goes 30 days, while you're talking to 10 and getting 9, I will talk to 100 and get 10. So that when the month is over, you've got 9, I've got 10. I win. That's one of my objectives, is to win. Now I have another objective, for you to lose. Because you learn a great deal by losing. And I wish to be your teacher. Competition, learning how to compete. What I do is make up for in numbers what I first lack in skill. Once you understand the law of averages, you can make up for in numbers what you first lack in skill. See, if I have to, I'll sleep 3 hours a day and work 21 or 20. I will, to win. Now, I can't do that forever. But if we've got something going, see, I'll just make up for in numbers. If I don't have the skill, I will make it up in numbers. Okay, now you can start to compete. Getting 1 out of 10, a ratio tends to continue. Now, who will it continue for? Anyone who tries, if you try. Okay, now here's the next key on the law of averages. The ratio can be increased. Isn't that unique? You talk to 10, get 1. Talk to 10 more, get 1. Talk to 10 more, you get another one. Talk to 10 more, you get 2. Why is that? Why would about the 4th time you talk to 10, you get 2 instead of 1? You're getting better. Key question. Who can get better? Anyone who tries. See, that's exciting. Now, could you stay and work hard enough to get this ratio up to 3 or 4 out of 10? Is that possible? For who? Anyone. Could you stay long enough to be a pro, get 6, 7 out of 10? Is that possible? For who? Anyone. What's exciting to know is that capacity meeting opportunity can yield the most incredible results. And you have all the capacity that's necessary, and you're surrounded by opportunity. I mean, you lack nothing from where you sit to create enterprise and wealth, and fortune, lifestyle, all the uniqueness you want. Being surrounded by opportunity and having unlimited capacity. I mean, what else would you ask for? Some people say, well, could you just bring it to me? Well, no. Okay. Now, there's a Bible story that teaches the law of averages. It's an interesting story called the parable of the sower. The parable of the sower, the story of the sower. And if you haven't read it for a while, it's an interesting, very interesting story to read. It's a great illustration of the law of averages, the parable of the sower. The sower in the ancient days was the guy that planted the crops. They called him the sower. Right? They got the ground ready. I don't know just how they all got it all ready, right? But they got the ground ready. And this guy called the sower was the planter of the crops. And he would take a bag of seed, walk across the field, and he would, right, sow the seed and plant the crops. They called him the sower. Now, the story of the sower is a typical story of life and people and results and what you can expect, right? And then you let the obvious be your best teacher. Now, when you read the story of the sower, you'll come up with some interesting points. First, the sower was a wise man. And when you read the whole story, you'll come to the conclusion the sower was a wise man, which is a high advantage. Right? You don't want to send a dummy out to plant. Right? We will all starve come fall. Next point of the story was the sower had excellent seed. Excellent seed. Story says he had the best. He didn't settle for something cheap and second best. Third point of the story, he was highly ambitious. And when you read the whole story, you'll come to the conclusion this man was ambitious, which is an admirable quality. Ambition. And then he went to work. The guy says, oh, I knew there was a hitch in here somewhere. That's where it is, probably, right? The guy goes to work. Now, the story with the sower, with the excellent seed, highly ambitious, opportunity all around him. He has the capacity. He's got the seed. Everything's ready. And he starts out to sow to get some results. Now, it's an interesting story about what happened to him. It's a typical story of life, but it's fascinating. Here's what it says. He starts out to sow the seed early in the morning, but the first part of the seed that he sows falls by the wayside, and the birds get it. He's sowing this good seed, highly ambitious man sowing this good seed, and the birds are grabbing it. He sows some more, and the birds grab that. He sows some more, and the birds grab that. Now, remember, this is a typical story of life and people. Now, is that fairly typical? See, I got to tell you as a leader, the birds are going to get some of the seed. You get a hold of John. Let's say you're in real estate, right? Somebody here's in real estate. You get a hold of John. John says, hey, I'm looking for a change. I need a new occupation change. And I've heard about real estate. You say, John, come on over Friday night. We're going to have this orientation class. And we'll show you how to do it. Might be the new life for you. Earn the money you want to earn. Get your life turned around. Who knows what will happen? John says, sounds great to me. I'll be there on Friday night. Learn all about it. I'll probably be one of your best salesmen. Say, okay, see you Friday night. Now, come Friday night, 7:30, it's supposed to start. John's not there. Say, well, maybe the traffic's a little heavy. So we wait till 7:45. About 8 o'clock, we come to the conclusion. But he's not going to show. Question. What's happened since this unique conversation that you had with John, and you dropped on him this great idea? You've got the explanation, helped change his life. He said he would agree to be there, and he's not there. What's probably happened between then and Friday night? The birds done got the boy. Got him. And who knows who the heck it might be, right? Maybe it's his brother-in-law, right? Says, real estate, you're not going to mix up in that, are you? Talked him out of it. Or his plumber. Says, let me tell you about real estate. His plumber. Now, if you get the message back as to what happened, see, here's where you might get off track. There's a couple of things you can do when the birds are grabbing the seed. One is you can chase birds. See those dirty birds, and away you go after the birds. You say, wait till I get a hold of his brother-in-law. I'll straighten him out. Tear him a new page. What does he know about real estate? His plumber. Now, see, you're off trying to straighten things out, rather than accepting it as it is. The best study of life is how it is, not how you wish it to be, not how you wish to rearrange it, how to take advantage of how it is. Some people would rather get even than to get ahead. They get off course. See, if you're off chasing birds, you have left the field. You're not sowing anymore. Now your chances go down instead of up. There's some things you don't try to cure. There's some things you ignore. Here's what it said this wise sower did. It said he ignored the birds, and he kept on sowing. How clever. There's some things you just got to accept. That's the way it is. So he keeps on sowing. And here's the key. If you keep sowing, you can sow more than the birds can get. But the birds are part of life. And don't press me why I didn't arrange all this. I don't know. It's just the way it is. So he keeps on sowing. Now the story says this sower keeps on sowing. Now the seed falls on shallow ground, rocky ground where the soil is shallow. And it says the little plant starts to grow. This time, the birds didn't get it. But the first hot day, these little plants wither and die. Now that's kind of disappointing, isn't it? But see, that's bound to happen. This time you recruit John. John says, I'll be one of your best. He doesn't show up at the third meeting. You say, where's John? Say, I don't know. Somebody said, boo. And he... When I went to high school, there were 400 and some in the... No. Yes, there were 400 and some in the freshman class. And 150 in the graduating class. Is that unusual? See, there's always more freshmen than seniors. What's that called? The law of averages. Life takes its inevitable toll. Everybody everybody should stay and finish, right? Maybe they should, but they don't. And you've got to learn to take that into stride. See, otherwise you'll be bent out of shape, you'll be tipped over, you'll be frustrated, you will misread life, and you won't know what's happening. You've just got to understand, sometimes the seed falls on shallow ground. And it didn't say what to do about the shallow ground. It just said that's the way it is. And we have a tendency to say, I thought sure John had lasted a month. But sure enough, it's happened. Now you're going to be disappointed. Let me put this in here. When this doesn't work out, just as you've planned, you're going to be disappointed. But here's what you must learn to do as a leader. Learn to discipline your disappointment. That's very important. Because sometimes it's easy to say, well, Pete, he's quit. John, he's quit. I guess I'll quit. And you just follow instead of lead. You're going to be disappointed, so be disappointed, but don't let it kill you. And don't let it stack up. Just understand, that's the way it is. I wish he would have stayed. But I wish him the best, wherever he's going. He didn't last, but so what? That's life. Now then, here's what it said the wise sower did. He kept on sowing. How clever. Now it says the seed falls on thorny ground. And the little plant starts to grow, but then the thorns choke it to death. Now, is that fairly typical? See, the thorns are going to get something. The little Bible story called the thorns the cares of life. Little cares, little duties that cheat people out of big opportunities. And it happens every day. And I don't know what to do about it. I called John up and I said, John, where were you last night? We had a meeting. John says, well, I can't make every meeting. I say, why not? John says, well, I got a lot of other things I got to do. I say, what are they? You won't believe the list John gave me for last night. The backyard fence was sagging and the dogs are about to get out. You just can't let your dogs run loose. The screen door had come off the hinges. You just can't let things fall apart. You got to take time and keep things fixed up. Some extra trash had piled up in the garage. You just can't let mounds of trash take over. You got to take time and haul out this stuff. On the phone, I can hear the thorns getting. People letting little things cheat them out of big opportunities. Some people have the incredible ability to major in minor things. I drive through this little community. John's out there mowing his lawn, cussing the weeds, his face is red, and he's about to explode. I stop and I get out of the car. I say, John, what are you doing? He says, what does it look like I'm doing? I'm mowing this lousy lawn. I say, John, there's all kinds of little neighborhood boys around here. Mow your lawn. He says, well, they want $5. I'll mow it myself. I'll mow it myself. Number one, there should be a law against cheating some little neighborhood boy out of $5. That should be a law. But see, the biggest cheat is letting little things cheat you out of major opportunities, called the thorns, the cares. But now what do you do about that? Well, see, I used to give classes on how not to let the thorns see, but that won't work. I mean, those classes won't help. Here's what it said, this wise man. He kept on sowing. How clever. He understood the law of averages. Keep sowing. Good people are not trained, they're found. You don't need much training, right, with good people. Find good people. Now, it says, finally, the seed falls on good ground. That's what it says, good. Somebody says, how do you find the good ground? Answer, keep looking. You'll recognize it when it comes by. You won't have to make something bad into something good. You'll recognize good when it comes by. Now, even the good ground, the story says, part of the good ground produced 30%, part of it produced 60%, and part of it produced 100%. Even the good ground. What's that called? The law of averages, the ratios. Where do they work? Everywhere. Who for? Everybody. Now, what you must do is understand the ratios as a leader so that you learn how to work with them and not against them. Now, see, I used to give classes here on how to do 100%, but see, that won't help. It's called frustration for the leader. Right? In the evening seminar, I say, right? The key to management is don't send your ducks to Eagle School, right? And this is part of it here, right? It's learning where, what to do, and how to find the right people. What to do and how to find the right people. See, that's major. So you let people who want to produce 30. They make a contribution to the whole and the 60 and the 100. Now, here's the key question. How do you find the 100%ers? Answer. You got to go through the birds. You got to go through the hot weather getting some. You got to go through the shallow, rocky soil. You got to talk to the 30 people, the 60 people, to find you the hundreds. Here's what we say. If you want a lot of seniors, you must load the freshman class. Okay, that's how you find seniors. You just load the freshman class. And there's a lot of things, you just watch the process. You don't try to change the process. You just share the story and watch what happens. Share the opportunity and watch. And you pick by watching what happens. You don't force, you don't make, and you don't change. You watch. So it's called act and share and watch and pick. Okay? Act and share and watch and pick. And what's smart is to pick 100%ers that become 100%ers. Right? You look like a hero. And you don't try to make 100%ers out of people who are not going to do very much. And see, that's not on them. Now, some people in one enterprise are going to do much better, in one enterprise than they are in another. But whatever enterprise you've got going, or whatever you're working with in the way of people, just understand the law of averages, and here's the key. Don't try to change it. Learn to work with it. Okay, is that helpful? The law of averages. I'm telling you, it'll save you a lot of heartache. It'll save you a lot of mistakes and a lot of errors and a lot of wondering and a lot of pondering, sleepless nights, agony. I mean, it just cures a whole lot of things once you understand the law of averages.
Hey, that was so good. We only have a few minutes. So I just want to go over real briefly, and then we're going to bring, because I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I highly recommend you go back through this one a few times and learn it. Teach it to your team, because this will help you so much in so many areas. So, he basically talked, the law of averages and establishing the law of averages and understanding that it's our job to sow the seed. We sow the seed, and eventually a ratio will appear. He says 1 out of 10. I think 1 out of 10 is really realistic. When you truly educate someone on It Works, on the products, you're going to have at least 1 out of 10. They're going to purchase a product from you. When you truly educate someone on the opportunity, you're going to have 1 out of 10. They're going to join the opportunity. I love the story of the guy from China, right, who barely spoke any English, and he came to America, and he would just go up to people and randomly say, "You look for opportunity, yes, no." And he would get a lot of no's, but he would occasionally get a yes. And then out of all those yeses, some of them would inevitably join his team. So then he knew his ratio. And then it just becomes, do you want one to join every week? Do you want one to join every month, one to join every year? I love the ratio of a deck of cards because there's 52 cards in a deck, right? So if you're just educating 2 people a day and you're taking Sundays off, that's 52 people a month. And what's crazy about that is there's 4 aces in every deck. So just imagine if those 4 aces were distributors that join your team. You have 4 aces in every single deck. And then you have 12 face cards in every single deck. So those could be loyal customers. They could be people trying products, right? So then the question just becomes is how long are you going to take to go through a deck of cards? That's the part you can control. You can control if you take a year to go through one deck, if you go through a deck every single month, you can go through a deck every single week if you want to. And that's the people who you see who are doing steps to success 3, 4, 5 times in a month. They're just sorting faster. They're going through the deck faster, finding the aces, finding the face cards. So anybody can get a ratio started. And as we get better, we can go from 1 out of 10 to 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10. And I love how he compares it to baseball, because in baseball, batting average, if you hit 300, then you're a multi-millionaire. And imagine that when you hit 300, that means you let your team down, right? You let the fans down, the 30,000 watching you let them down 7 out of 10 times, only get a hit 3 out of 10. You're a multi-millionaire. So don't think that you have to do better than that. You're always going to have way more people telling you no than are telling you yes, because that's just the way it is. Just like baseball, you don't see people bat 500, 600 because it's just not the way that it is. So it's the same thing with this. And when he gets into the parable of the sower, I love how he shares that, because there's all this stuff we have to go through, but we are the sowers. So we have to continue to sow. And when the birds get some, be disciplined enough to not chase the birds. When the hot sun gets some, be disciplined to not try and change all that and to work with it instead of working against it. That's what keeps us. You can probably see now how easy it is to get distracted, and how you could go, wow, I haven't gone through a deck of cards in the last 3 months because I was chasing the 8 of diamonds, trying to turn them into an ace of diamonds, and they were never meant to be the ace of diamonds. So we have to work with it. We have to work with the hand we're dealt and the cards that we have. When you flip the card over, if it's not an ace or it's not a face card, spend very little time with that person or with that card, and go to the next one, and go to the next one, and go to the next one, and work with the willing, right? Exposure is everything. The fortune is in the follow-up, and you have to work with the willing. So when that person, and we just had it last week, someone joined for $20 and they're in 3 days, and we took them all through the best training after 6 years we can come up with. And they said, this isn't for me. I'm done. And so we wanted to know why. We very easily could have said, why? What happened? What changed? You were going to kill this. We just had a great conversation the other day, but it's just the way that it is. I don't know if it was the hot sun or the shallow ground or the thorns choked him out. I don't know what it was, but I can waste so much time trying to take the what is this class instead of understanding it's just the way that it is. Some don't stay. And we just have to understand that. And it's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's not anybody's fault. Maybe this just wasn't the right time for them. Maybe this isn't the right business for them. Who knows? But we can waste a lot of time trying to figure all that out, or we can continue to do what we're supposed to do, which is sow the seeds, because we have to continue to sow the seeds to find the 30 percenters and the 60 percenters and the 100 percenters. And that's our job. Our job isn't to try and change and mold and do all that stuff to people. Our job is to bring people in and let the chips fall where they may. So let me go over here to Mr. Tay and see what he has to share this morning. How you doing today, Tay?
I'm doing great, Chad. I thought that was awesome. I think for me, I love this. I just love Jim Rohn talking about this. Carrie introduced me to this one, and she did a Zoom about it, or she went live about it, and she posted on the YouTube. And that's one that I always go back to because she kind of gets me fired up. So I really want to hear what she had to say, but I think she's upstairs. I think the thing that stuck up to me the most was he started describing the sower. And the one thing that I noticed, like, the sower was a leader. Like, the sower was the only one. Like you said, you had all the people who went out and got the field ready, but you had the sower who went out and planted the seed. So I just love the characteristics that he posted about the sower. Like, he was a wise man. He had excellent seed. The sower was highly ambitious, and the sower went to work. And I just think about, when I hear those things, I think about, each one of us on these Zooms, like, we're the sowers. We're the one that's having to put in the hard work. Like, we're the one that's having to build ourselves up to lead everybody else. And what it came to think about was, like, he's putting the seed in the ground, but everybody else is going to be able to pick off his harvest. So like he's doing the hard work, but the thing I love about it is like he had to do everything else behind the scene. But also like he had to become that sower. Like he had to become the person. So like he said, like once he have an understanding, like, you know, the bird's gonna get some. You know, the heat is gonna get some. Like once he had the understanding, like some of these things are just gonna happen, but you know what? I know the ultimate goal and I know I want to be, so I'm gonna keep sowing. So I think you just have to be that person that's a leader within your organization. Just to know, like, some people gonna quit. You know, some people gonna start and not do anything, and you're gonna have a couple of people who's running with you. So I think you have to grow into that leader, just knowing like some things that you just cannot change. It's out of your hands. And me and Carrie talk about this all the time. And one of the things I just love, I love Pam Sauter. And one of the things she always says, well, isn't that interesting? So when something happened, like something crazy happened, and it's something like we know we can't control, I just look at Carrie and I say, well, isn't that interesting? And I just think about this story of Jim Rohn. It's like some things that you can't control. Like you got the 30, you got the 60, you got the 100. Like you can't expect that person who was the 30 to be at 60. Like you should expect her to put in her or him to like do the things that they're doing. And you can't expect nothing above that. So you got to appreciate that person on that level that they are, knowing like this is the type of person you're going to be. And until you want to become that 60 person, I can only expect you to be this 30. So I just love the characteristics that he said of the sower. And I would just encourage you guys, become that sower. Like, just know, like, I know you're doing a lot of great things for your business, but you got to be that person who's set apart. You got to be that person who's willing to put in the work so you can have that story to let people know, like, hey, even though he got some of these, even though this happened, I kept going and I left a legacy for my family, and not only my family, but those around me. So I just encourage you guys just to take the characteristics that he said of a sword and just think about think about everything that you want to become because of these Zooms, and just start applying that to your life. And like, hey, look, I don't have to be the people going out and getting the field ready. Like, I want to be the sower. And I think you just have to do that and just be conscious. One last quote I'll leave you guys. It was crazy. I read through Luke last night, and he said, each tree is recognized by its own fruit. And for me, I just thought about, like, what seeds are you putting out? Like, we're putting out seeds every single day, like, whether it's positive or negative. So I think you have to be aware of, like, what seeds are you putting out? And if you really want to find out and you really want to get the truth behind it, like, go to the people closest to you and just have conversation with them and ask them whatever questions you want, just to see, like, what vibes are you getting from me? Like, what are the things that I'm putting out that you don't like? What are the things that I'm putting out that you do like? So I think you have to be conscious of the things that you're putting out so that you can understand, like, hey, I want to be this person, but I don't want to be this person who's putting out this type of seed or vibe that's, not correlating to what I want to be. So just get clear with what you want and just talk to the people around you. And I'm pretty sure, like, if you talk to your kids, if you got older kids, they're be more than happy to let you know how they feel. So our son Riley, he's 3, but I'm so hard on him that it's a hard love, but I know and I understand, like, he's gonna tell dad the truth. He's not gonna sugarcoat anything. Like, if I do something wrong, like, he's gonna let me know, and that's just my measuring stick and knowing, like, hey, I'm practicing these things, and I can't go out and tell people to do these certain things if I'm not doing it. So I just have conversations with my wife, and crazy as it sounds, my 3-year-old son, I have conversations with him because he just give a heart. Only thing he knows is truth, so he's not gonna lie. So he's very truthful with dad. He just let dads know when he's right and when he's wrong. So just be honest and just figure out, like, what seeds am I putting out, and just know, like, the seeds that you're putting out, that's ultimately, who you are.
Awesome, man. Well said. And I know you and Carrie just consume Jim Rohn like me too. And it's just like, it's the more we understand, like, the way life works, the more we can work with life instead of fighting against it and trying to change. Jim always says it's like rearranging the seasons. I wouldn't spend much time trying to get, summer to come right after winter instead of, there's not a whole lot we can do about that. And it's kind of the same when it comes to this business. So thanks so much for sharing today. Let me go over here to Noelle Cruz. Hey, Noelle, how are you today?
Morning, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I'm just like, I can't get enough of the Zoom. Oh my gosh, it's so good. This is my favorite thing to get in the hands of my new distributors. And so I actually bought like 300 of his little audio Building Your Network Marketing Business CDs for people to listen to in their car, because it's this important. And this is obviously free on YouTube now. But like, I feel like if you can get a new distributor to just get the law of averages and get the idea of sowing and planting into their brain, I feel like their retention is going to be higher. We're going to go to Oma's house in a little bit. You have to be quiet. Okay, we're going to Grandma's house later today, and she's really excited. But the thing I was thinking about is that, okay, I'm sorry, I can't even think. I have a screaming 3-year-old. Is that we don't all have the same seed. And just like Tay said, like the sower had good seed. And how do we develop better seed? We develop better seed by becoming a more valuable person and by fishing in a pond of higher quality people. But that doesn't come without the personal development and the staying power of continuing to plant after you've had, 9 people tell you no. A lot of people, in talking to their first 10 people, will quit before they get to that one that's going to say yes. And so I love that you use the reference early on in the business of we need to develop rhino skin, because that rhino skin is going to give us the ability to stay and plant more seeds and collect more no's, which is why I love to put out the challenge. And I think we should do this with our teams again. Put out the challenge, go for no. Go see if you can go get 100 no's this week. Because when you put out that challenge to your team and say, I challenge you to go find 100 people to tell you no this week, they're going to start signing distributors. They're going to start signing customers. We're going to be doing 3-way calls. We're going to be doing 3-way chats, all of those. And it makes it a game, and it takes the pressure off. Because if they think they're going to start this business and they're going to get yes and yes and yes, well, they're going to be highly disappointed when the first 5 people they talk to are like, no, thanks, I'm not interested, And so I think just getting in their brain, like constantly having the mindset of we're farmers. We're not hunters. We're not out there to bag an elephant. We're literally just farmers, and we're there to plant the seeds and cultivate those and water it and watch it grow. And the more seeds you plant, the bigger harvest you will have. And just helping our team with that mindset, I think, is huge. And, in the process of developing better seeds, we have to become a better person. So
I love that. And I love the analogy of hunting versus fishing, because, it's so simple, because I think that's how some people view this business. Like, I'm going to go get me somebody. I'm going to go bag an elephant, like you said. And they go out with this big rifle. And as soon as any animal, or we shoot at any animal, I think they all run, right? They all run away. And so some people go out there, and the way they're approaching the marketplace is they're causing everyone to run from them, versus fishing, which is, hey, let's see what the fish are attracted to today. Let's put the thing out there in the water that brings the fish to the bait, into the boat. And so that's another Zoom for another day. But I love that analogy, because we have to learn how to be attractive and attract people into our business versus trying to get people and hunt them down and force them in, kind of thing. But one other person that was on here today that I wanted to go to before we wrap this up is Melissa. And Melissa is our #1 producer this month. She just promoted to Diamond last month. She's killing it. And, I'm going to bring you on here real quick, Melissa. Let me unmute you here. Let's just share with everybody. Like, I know the law of averages has been huge for you. I know you were kind of working your business, and then your dad challenged you to enroll someone every day. And I know now you enroll multiple people many, many days. So how has this understanding the law of averages worked for you, and understanding how to not chase people and just continue to sowing? Can you just share a little bit?
This actually gets me so excited, because I feel like this is what changed everything for my business. Sorry, my throat's super scratchy. But I don't know, I took 2 pages of notes. But whatever we attract, or whatever we are, is what we attract. And this is something that took me forever to learn. And my mindset wasn't necessarily in the right place. And like you just said, Chad, my dad was a huge thing that helped me realize, Melissa, you're not in the right mindset to attract the right people. You're attracting people that are still thinking in that negative thought, in that negative place where you are. And when I changed that, now I have team to work with, which is so exciting. And for 1.5 years, I was doing it all by myself, because I was attracting the wrong people. And this year has been my year where I've grown so much. And I'm able to see that in my business. Just a couple of things that I wanted to point out is that he said, learn to discipline your disappointment. This is something that was so huge for me. And I love that Noel said, tell your team to get no's, because I feel so many times people get started and they don't know how to, they don't know how to do that or how to deal with that disappointment. So then they just quit right off the jump. And that was something that I struggled with too. Like, I would get so down on people telling me no, and then I would still try to push through it, but I was still like dwelling on it, and it would cause me not to do the income producing activities I needed to be doing and stuff like that. So learning that and knowing, like, there are people that need this business. There are people that need the products that we have, and we have like something powerful that can change people's lives. And those no's will lead to the yes that really, really matters. Let's see. And I also like that he said that the ratio can be increased, like you will get better. So even those people that are saying no to us, they're like being used as practice. Like, they're still listening. We're still practicing to get better whenever those people are saying no. And our ratio can get better for anyone who tries. You just don't give up. That's the whole thing behind it, is not giving up. Sorry. And I really like that Tay brought up his kids, because my daughter is 8, and I feel like right now she's like this sponge of everything that goes around. And everyone always tells me, like, she's so honest. And sometimes that's not always like the best thing at 8 years old. She can be brutally honest. But you guys, she reminds me, like, on the daily, even like now this year, like, she reminds me so often of how much I have changed, how much I have gotten better as a mother, or, for things for her. And we sit and have those conversations. Like, I tell her what I think she can do better at in school or at home or whatever. And she gets the opportunity to tell me and her dad how she thinks that we could be better for her. And we implement those things in life. And I never would have done that before. I just never would have thought it was a thing. But using the things that I've learned, not only in my business, but like at home with my daughter and my husband and stuff, has changed. Like, it's changed our lives. It really has.
All right, I was unmuted. I was muted there.
That's okay.
That is so great, Melissa. And just, this is what, in my opinion, the whole point of this whole business is to understand and recognize that if we will change, then everything will change for us. And you've obviously grasped that. I remember the time where you had never recruited, averaged a person a day, and your dad challenged you to, and you fought through that, and you figured out your ratio, and you started getting better at it, and got to where you're bringing someone in every day, and then even where you're bringing in multiple people every day. I mean, just to share, what's possible. Didn't you do like steps to success like 5 times last month?
6 times.
6 times last month. So 3 distributors and 4 loyals, 6 different times in 1 month. And this month, how many distributors and customers have you already recruited this month?
This month I have recruited 6 distributors and 24 customers so far.
So already multiple times steps to success this month, and we're just now halfway through the month. So you're killing it, and you have embraced personal development. I mean, you're still working a full-time job. You promoted to diamond, work on your way through into double diamond, and you're out there doing the deal and understanding and learning all this stuff. So congratulations to you. Thank you for jumping on here today. I'm sure you encouraged so many people just with your story. And for all of you that are listening in, just understand that anything is possible. I know he talked about, at one point, he just said that the capacity, right? He was talking about capacity. We all have the capacity to learn. We all have the capacity to grow. We all have the capacity to understand our ratio and improve our ratio, where we can go from 1 out of 10 to 2 out of 10, and then get to where you can compete, right? Remember when he said that maybe you can get 9 out of 10 and I can only get 1 out of 10, but if we have a 30-day contest, I can actually beat you, because if you talk to 10 and get 9, I can talk to 100 and get 10, right? So when you understand these concepts, we're empowered to go out and build this business as fast as you want to build it, because it all boils down to income producing activities and attacking the day, right? Getting the most out of the day that we possibly can. I'll leave you with this one last thing, is at the end of the day, Jim Rohn talked about having a notebook. And so at the end of the day, you can look at your notebook and say what went well, what didn't go so well. And that's how we improve, right? We improve by plan, do, review. So you have your plan for the day, you do your plan for the day. At the end of the day, you review it. How did it go? what went well, what didn't go well, and ask yourself this one question when you look in the mirror. Just look in the mirror every night and say, if my whole team did what I did today, would any of us gotten any closer to our goals? And if the answer is yes, then you are on track, and all you got to do is keep doing that day in, day out. So. If the answer is no, then guess what? You got tomorrow, and tomorrow can be a whole new story. You can turn the corner tomorrow. You can begin to change, and you can't change your destination overnight, but you can definitely change your direction right now. And so I hope you're all encouraged by this, and just understand that the future is yours to design. And we're going to continue to dig into this over the future weeks and months. So I'll see y'all Tuesday morning. Thanks for tuning in, and y'all have a great day. Have a good weekend.